All right, Mena, we should be good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Music and Wellness Secrets of Singing information session. My name is Mena Caravetta, Program Coordinator for Programs for 50 Plus. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the land on which Ryerson University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. I want to pay my respects to the Indigenous peoples, elders, and ancestors who stewarded and cared for the nature and people who lived on the land where Ryerson is located today. At the university, we have made a deep and long-lasting commitment to truth and reconciliation. I invite you to learn more about this work online. Now, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's information session. Please ensure your microphone is muted throughout the workshop so as not to disturb other attendees or the presenters. Please refrain from having your video on. If you decide to leave your video on throughout the presentation, please be mindful of your actions as your camera is visible to everyone attending the workshop. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenter by typing your questions into the chat box of the control panel. You may send in your questions when prompted by the presenter during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Daniel Aaron Robinson, for today's workshop. Daniel is a registered psychotherapist working in Toronto. He currently works with queer and trans youth and provides cognitive behavioral therapy, trauma-informed therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and grief therapy. Previously, Daniel worked in Toronto hospitals and supported the mental health of patients and families in palliative care, complex continuing care, and acute rehabilitation. He's also a sessional lecturer at Ryerson University and teaches topics in wellness, self-care, and music. Here is Daniel Aaron Robinson.
Thanks, Mena. Lovely to be here and chatting with you folks. My plan for this info session is I'll just tell you a little bit more about my background. Then I'll tell you my plan for the music and wellness course, and I want to make sure there's a good chunk of time for you folks to ask questions and to clarify anything that I said. So Mena gave a bit of my bio there. I'll just maybe add to it as well that where the music piece comes into that, so you folks know about that. So I did my undergraduate a double major in opera and human biology, and so I spent a huge amount of time that's how I made my living for a bit as an opera singer. And then I kind of moved into music education and then eventually did a master's degree in psychotherapy and music therapy. And for 2 years, I worked at a hospital as a music therapist and as a psychotherapist. And it is that experience that I really draw upon and just to make this course for folks. And whether that experience is kind of my work with physiotherapists and seeing how music and rhythm can cue and motivate motor movement in those who are learning to walk again or are rehabbing their speech and seeing just the incredible effect that it can have, or whether it is using music to stimulate memory and seeing how folks who aren't often oriented to where they are and aren't really easily able to access their memories, as soon as you start playing them a song from when they were in their 20s or 30s, they're able to have a conversation about it and really remember things from that time in a way they weren't previously able to without that musical stimulus. I spent a large amount of time in palliative care work, and it's been really wonderful to kind of see what family members can do with their loved ones when they're just sitting and singing together, and the connection and the support you can feel even through the hardest times, to see folks who are at the end of their lives, who use music to communicate their emotions and whose loved ones can communicate their emotions through music as well, when other forms of verbal communication start to break down. And just taking this experience and combining it with the huge amount of neuroscience and theory that is out there that we use to create the content for this course. And so Music and Wellness is a lecture-based course. There's 6 lectures. And we really dig into what is the science behind why music affects us the way it does. Why can music have such a profound effect on our well-being? And then we take that theory and we see if we can create practical tools that can help us in our everyday life. Because we don't want to simply just learn about the theory in this far off way. We want to see, okay, how can I now take this? And if music can improve my emotions, what specifically can I do to help my emotions? If music can help me connect with other people, what can I do? What can I do with that knowledge? So the course is, as I mentioned, 6 lectures, and I'll briefly kind of go over what I'm hoping to talk about in each of them. The first one will just be an introduction, and we'll really be talking about the music in the brain. What is music in itself, and how does it get into the brain? What are the neural mechanisms there? And then we'll move into the different parts of well-being that music can really affect. Emotional well-being, physical well-being, cognitive well-being, and social well-being. And there'll be a lecture in each of those. And then finally, our last lecture will just be around music therapy and the clinical side of what is done in hospitals and at the clinical level, and how are folks using music to improve the lives of others. Amidst all of this lecture work, there will be opportunities for experiential activities. So we'll be actually doing things virtually in class. And I'll also be assigning homework to kind of guide you through your journey and kind of finding, okay, how can music improve my life? And I'm sure a lot of you will come to the course with ideas and already using music to improve your life, whether that's you're in a choir, or you listen to music regularly, or you go out and socialize with folks, or you dance to music for your own physical well-being, or you listen to music to kind of help motivate you when you're doing any kind of physical movement or activity. But we're just going to kind of add to that. And I always like to say that this course is very much participate as much as you would like. There will never be any pressure to sing in the class or to really do all the homework. I understand that we're all kind of coming at different parts in our life, and I want to make sure that I curtail the content of the course that best suits you and your needs. So if for you, you'd like to kind of come to the lecture and sit back and learn, that is absolutely okay. If you want to really participate in the songwriting activities that we do in class, in the guided music meditations we do in class, please do so. If you would like to really go gung-ho and go into the homework that I assign throughout it, whether that is creating playlists that specify a specific mood and can help really change our mood throughout the day, whether that is little improvisation activities to help us kind of get emotions out of our system and express and process our experience, whether it is the songwriting that I might ask you folks to do, to songwrite to friends and loved ones, to kind of connect with them during what seems to be another bout of COVID isolation. Or it might even just be exercising to some music or moving to some music. And can we find the right music that fits your own needs? So I can't kind of emphasize enough how there's no pressure to this course. You can kind of engage in whatever way is best for you. I really have nothing else to say on top of that. And I would love to kind of just open it up to folks if they have questions and clarifications. And if not, I'd love to kind of just share some more experience from the previous times that we've run this course and what has happened. So I'll open it up to you folks first.
Thank you very much for that. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to open up your mic and ask them. You can ask Daniel directly if you would like to open up your microphones. Or you can enter the information in the chat box, your question in the chat box, whatever is comfortable for you.
This is just a basic question and isn't directed at the course content, which sounds very interesting. Can you just remind me when the course is going to be held?
Of course, yeah. So it starts next Wednesday, and it runs from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Of course. It's a good question. Good basic question.
I had forgotten.
I have a question too, Danielle. It's Nancy in Thunder Bay. I'd like to know, I'm really intrigued about creating your own playlists for just how you might want to feel, or if you're working with someone, how you might want to encourage them to feel a little bit better. So can you give me an example of a type of playlist that you might suggest?
Of course, yeah. So I'll back up a little bit and kind of say it in the context of the course. So what we'll do with the first couple of classes is kind of homework for folks will be just listen to like a couple pieces of music over the week and try to assign a specific emotion to it. What emotion do you hear in it? When you listen to Let It Be, do you feel relaxed? Do you feel hopeful? Do you feel sad? And we start creating this kind of repertoire of music that has a specific emotional context to it. And then what we do is then we start grouping those songs into playlists. So there are kind of two main playlists that I kind of think about. There are the ones that stick in one certain emotion. So let's say we're feeling down or sad or lonely, and sometimes we just need to sit in that for a little bit. And that, so we'll put on our music that we've kind of labeled as this is a sad playlist. And we'll just sit there in that sadness for a little bit. And often folks, just by hearing other people's experiences of sadness through the music and through the lyrics, it just helps process some of their own experience and begin to kind of move through that sadness. On the flip side, it could be kind of motivational and upbeat music, is that we're feeling like we really want to go or we really want to exercise or something. And so we're going to group together the music that is, we've decided, we've labeled motivational or we've labeled happy, because we want to stay in that place. The second type of playlist that I often use with folks are these ones that move from one emotion to another. In music therapy world, they call them ISO principle playlists. So let's say we're feeling really down and we want to kind of move more to a space that is happy, and we feel right now we have a capacity to kind of do that or a need to do that. We start making our playlist with songs that are a little bit sadder, and then we gradually kind of shift these songs from, okay, they're sad, maybe there's songs that exist out there that have multiple emotions. It's sad but a bit hopeful, and then the next couple songs in the playlist are hopeful and happy, and the last ones are just celebratory. And it's been really interesting to see how folks can go through these playlists and just sit and listen to them, and they can feel their emotions shifting. And there's been lovely research out there that shows that there's chemical changes that happen in the endorphins that are released and the chemicals and neurotransmitters that are released in our brain that allow this shift to occur. Does that kind of answer your question, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm so intrigued by this course. It just sounds so, I always love the science behind things, but sometimes you get overwhelmed with little sound bites about science. And this just sounds like it kind of makes those kind of connections that are helpful for us and also for the people that we live with.
Absolutely, I totally hear you on that, because yeah, I'll listen to like sound bites or radio clips, or I'll read a study and it'll sound really interesting, but I don't really know what to do with it. And so this course hopes to bridge that gap of, okay, can we take that science, understand in a way that's accessible, and then let's do something with it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nancy, for that question. It's wonderful. Any other questions or things that I can clarify?
you're welcome to unmute your button if you wish to ask Daniel any questions. Any further questions from anyone? Okay. Well, I think this concludes our session for today. Thank you again, Daniel, for being here today and for a very informative session. I'm sure that there's a lot of interest in this program, and we look forward to hearing any of your comments from the audience. So just to say thank you to everyone for attending today's workshop. If you haven't already visit Ryerson, you can visit ryerson.ca/CE programs for 50+ to register for programs for 50+ courses. If you have any other questions, please contact us at our email, programs450+@ryerson.ca. On behalf of the Chang School at Ryerson University and our presenter today, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of the day. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you,
Folks.
Daniel.
Thanks, Mena.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye-bye.